60 years after World Cup glory, England once again head towards the summer with huge expectations. And rightly so, they were perfect in qualifying. 8 wins from 8, 22 goals scored and 0 conceded. So are they genuine contenders this summer? Now the starting 11 that Thomas Tuchel will use this summer suggests yes, England are legitimate contenders. In Jordan Pickford in goal, you've got one of the most experienced international goalkeepers around, and in front of him he's got a very solid team. Reece James, of course, has had fitness problems for a long time, but on his day he is one of the best right backs in the world. Nico O'Reilly on the left is inexperienced, but himself has had a fantastic season for Manchester City. He's a huge goal threat, he's a technical player, he's very tall, strong, powerful, athletic. He will be strong again this summer. The concern perhaps for England is in the centre-back department. Now I think Mark Guehi will play every single game at the tournament this summer. The question is all about his partner. And just listening to Thomas Tuchel talk, I think it's going to be John Stones if he is fit. Unfortunately, that is a big if. But if he's fit, I think he will play. And if not, it will be Ezri Konsa that comes into the side. It's not the best defence I've ever seen. I've been more confident in English defences before, but I think it's relatively strong. If we move into the midfield, it will be Elliot Anderson. It will be Declan Rice. And I would imagine by the time that England get up to speed, Jude Bellingham will be the main number 10. And England will actually line up more like a 4-3-3 like this, with a 6, an 8, and then a more expressive, creative 10. And if we're being realistic, by the end of this summer, we could be talking about 3 central midfielders that have each moved for over £100 million each. Like, that's a good midfield, even though price isn't everything. The front line mostly picks itself. It will be Bukayo Saka on the right. He's one of the best right wingers in the world. Harry Kane is maybe the best player in the world currently and will be England's main man up front. And the left is a little bit more room for discussion. I think it will be Marcus Rashford against the smaller sides, perhaps in the groups. But I think in bigger games, we might see Anthony Gordon coming in. But again, let's say it's these 3. Well, it's a front 3 that have won their domestic leagues this season. So the starting 11 looks pretty good, but we've seen that before from England. We've seen starting 11s that don't quite play right. So how will the balance actually look? But let's start off in the first phase, England playing out from the back, where, if we're being honest, they haven't really been tested under Thomas Tuchel. Qualifying was too easy. England averaged 74.4% possession, which, if you think about it, is absolutely ridiculous. They are insane figures that England were producing. But it was largely because the opposition was so weak that England were not tested in the first phase and could sort of just walk out from the back quite comfortably. And in the group, there's a chance we see something similar against some of the smaller sides, but certainly against the likes of Croatia and potentially in the knockout stages should England get there will be teams that press higher, and there will be problems for England to try and solve. Problems that England have not been able to deal with in the past. Under Gareth Southgate, England weren't a particularly good team in the first phase. Will that change this summer? Well, the personnel suggests that it can. Guehi and John Stones are both players that are absolutely fantastic on the ball. They're incredible ball-playing centre-backs, 2 of the best in the world. So those 2 will be absolutely fine. But I think the real important player is Elliot Anderson. I really think he is going to have to be the heartbeat of this England side. Because last tournament, for example, we saw Declan Rice playing in there a lot. And he just can't do it against man-to-man pressure. Declan Rice receiving with his back to goal here, it's not really what you want as an England fan, to be honest. Whereas with Elliot Anderson, I think you would feel much more confident, much more comfortable. He's got much quicker feet and is just a smarter player with the way that he receives the ball with the open body to turn away from the opposition. So Anderson will be important here. But what might actually be more important is the long ball or the threat of the long ball. See, if we look at this England front 3, people will criticise it because they like to be grumpy. But there is no denying that's a talented front 3. It's a front 3 that is quick, that can score goals, that can create, that can pass, that can dribble. It's a good front 3. Teams might just be so scared of that front 3, and this could be Gordon in here as well. They might be so scared that they don't press. They might be so scared of that front 3 that they will defend with a back 4 and actually give England the spare player in these areas here, which would allow England to play out from the back. Or the opposition might be super bold and actually go man for man. You know, the likes of France, the really big teams could do this. But I tell you what, this is an England side with a huge long ball threat. With Harry Kane as a false 9 dropping towards the ball, and then runners like Marcus Rashford and Saka into this huge open space, England could use the long ball to penetrate the opposition, or to pick up the second ball, go long towards Harry Kane, drop the second ball in there. Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, Elliot Anderson are all players that you want in here. So I think against the smaller teams, England will be comfortable out from the back. I think they'll have too much quality. Against the big teams, might be more dependency on playing direct. By the way, could I just quickly ask you guys if you could please subscribe to the channel? We are going to be doing big coverage of the World Cup this summer, so make sure to subscribe. Now, as we move a little bit higher up the pitch, this is where people will start to talk about shape and formation and structures. Will England be in a 4-2-3-1? Will it be a 4-3-3, a 4-4-2? That shape actually doesn't matter. Thomas Tuchel doesn't really care. There's one shape that he will be interested in this summer, and that is the triangular shape. A triangle. That will be key to England. Getting triangles all over the pitch. This is something that England have done throughout the qualifying campaign where they were strong. So it will be the two centre-backs with Elliot Anderson. That is one triangle that England will form. There'll be another between the left-back, the left-sided central midfielder and the left winger, and then finally a triangle on the right between these three as well. These will be the key dynamics for Thomas Tuchel. These will be evident in every single game. Just look here, there is triangles all over the pitch, but those main three are the ones that stand out and grab your attention. So why are they so important? Well, the first one is the base of midfield. This is really the tempo control. This is sort of the hub of the team. These guys will have the most touches of the ball. They will control the rhythm. So if we want to see an England side that threatens, that passes, that plays with pace, these guys are going to be key. But also, if we want to see an England team that occasionally slows down and looks after the ball, again, it will be the job of these three, particularly in the intense heat this summer. It's why, once again, I think Elliot Anderson is going to be absolutely crucial to everything that England do. The more exciting part, however, is the two wide threes. The wide sets of threes on the left and also on the right hand side. This is where England will potentially be at their most dangerous, and this is why Thomas Tuchel has selected certain players, because this is how he wants to threaten teams. This is where he is looking to hurt the opposition, with a dynamic of three players that can play three positions. So on the left, it could be like this: O'Reilly tucked in, Rice high, Rashford wide. In the next moment, O'Reilly could go round on the overlap, Rashford comes inside and Rice goes deeper, or Rashford might come towards the ball and Declan Rice might make that bombing run further forward. It works quite similar on the other side as well. So we might see Saka wide, James deep on the right hand side and Jude Bellingham in the middle, but then Saka could come in, James could go around on the overlap and Jude Bellingham could drop deeper, or Saka might drop deeper as the other two make runs past them. This will be key. Lots of rotations. Expect to see runners out wide, runners underlapping. The players will be rotating. The important thing will be getting the synergy right. If all three of these come towards the ball at the same time, it's a problem. If all three of them run in behind at the same time, it's a problem. The key for Thomas Tuchel has been balance, basic profiles in basic positions. That's why he wants proper wingers. Rashford, Gordon, Madueke, Saka. They're proper wingers. They're not these wing midfielders that we often hear about. They're proper wingers, and that's what England will look for this summer. Two players coming towards the ball, one making the run beyond. You can see it for this goal here. The triangle is very obvious, and then one player is going to make that darting run, leaving the triangle almost to go into the space. Again here, there is obviously a triangle wide on the pitch for England. We work the ball well, we rotate well, and we hurt them. Again, wide triangle, very clear to see, and England use this to probe the opposition. So this is where England will be at their most dangerous, when these wide dynamics get clicking. And if we're being honest, there's some serious players in those triangles. You will notice that there has been one player not in a triangle. Well, there's two. One's Jordan Pickford, but no offence, Jordan, mate, you're not too important for when we're attacking the opposition's third. The more important player is Harry Kane. Harry Kane is not involved in a triangle. He isn't given a set position that he's got to play because he is the main man. Too many times we have seen an England team that has Harry Kane up front, but he's not really the focus. We're trying to get Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Jude Bellingham, Bukayo Saka. We're trying to get those guys to work. For this summer, for Thomas Tuchel, it's all about Harry Kane. He is the main man in the middle, and that's why he isn't attached to any of these triangles, because it allows him to go pretty much wherever he wants. Kane is one of the best deep-lying strikers in world football. He's incredible when he drops deep and starts spraying passes forward. This is something that England will want. For that to work though, these triangles have to exist. These players that are going to go past have to be in the team. And again, that is why Tuchel has selected certain players. Last tournament we saw Phil Foden on the left wing, and England just didn't have that runner. But Rashford or Gordon will provide it, and so will Saka and Madueke on the right. So that's why Kane will be able to drop deep, because everyone else will be able to go past him. But Mr. Harry Kane, mate, you're a goal scorer. Make sure you don't drop too deep too regularly, because ultimately your most dangerous work is going to come up here when he's in and around the penalty area, where we are talking about one of the best finishers in world football. And this is where we start to see Thomas Tuchel's squad selection making a lot of sense, because what we have to do is think about his idea in games that England dominate. England will expect to have possession throughout the group stages. I would expect. There will be challenges along the way, but England will want to control the ball as much as possible. So how do England play when they control the ball? Well, let's get rid of the opposition for a moment and focus on England. England play a stupidly, ridiculously high line when they're trying to break down the opposition. We don't see loads of depth to the way that England play. It's quite compact, it's quite high up the pitch. So for the two centre-backs, they're actually likely to hold a line almost as high as this. You can see it here. The two centre-backs are absurdly high. Can you imagine Harry Maguire playing in that position and trying to defend a counter-attack? Probably not, and I think that's why he wasn't selected, despite being such a good player. I just don't think he works for how high Thomas Tuchel wants his team to play. Because what Tuchel wants is two really high centre-backs. Because if he's got high centre-backs, he can have high full-backs. If he's got high full-backs, he has wingers that can come inside. And the reason why he wants that is because Marcus Rashford and Bukayo Saka are two of England's best goal-scoring players. Two of our most dangerous players. So let's quickly bring the opposition back in like this. And let's get the opposition, these blue shirts here, defending their own box. Defensively, they're human defenders, believe it or not. So they have this moment in their mind where they think the job is done. A winger picks the ball up, Bukayo Saka. He drives straight at the fullback. If he goes here, as a defender, you feel like you've failed. You've been beaten. But if you can force Bukayo in this position here to actually take a touch backwards, you feel like you've done your job because you've sent him away from goal. But this is where the best wingers in the world are actually at their most dangerous. Bukayo Saka here, forced away from goal, but actually just turns it into a shooting angle to score a very good goal. Marcus Rashford here, forced away from goal, but actually just scores a ridiculously good finish. That's why Marcus Rashford and Bukayo Saka should start games for England this summer, because they will produce moments of game-breaking quality. Moments out of nothing from outside of the box, they can score goals for this England team. But of course, you cannot just rely on that goal output. So the other thing that Thomas Tuchel will look for is Harry Kane in the middle. Surprise! Best striker in the world, best goal scorer in the world. Try and get him to score goals. It's a pretty good plan. And the way that Tuchel will execute this is with the high centre-backs. And this is why they're so important. It's why, again, I don't think Maguire made the squad, because he wants these two centre-backs to play really high. Why? If the two centre-backs are high, Elliot Anderson is high. If Elliot Anderson is high, Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham are also high. And this is something that England will look to do. Lots of numbers in and around the opposition's penalty area. England will flood numbers forward. Whether that's the fullbacks, the wingers or the central midfielders, they will be responsible for supporting Kane. Now we've got to remember, there's still the triangles on display here. So sometimes it might be Declan Rice, sometimes it might be Marcus Rashford, it might even be O'Reilly. And on the other side, it might be Jude Bellingham, it might be Bukayo Saka, and it could even be Reece James attacking the back post. But the important thing for England is getting Elliot Anderson high, dictating the play, working the ball wide, and pushing those midfielders into the box. And the reason why you want to do this is because you can create this. A 3 versus 2 in the opposition's penalty area. 2 centre-backs against 3 English forwards. And look at the quality of those England players. The size of them, they're all massive threats in the box. But the quality is a joke. And this is what England will look to do. We saw it in qualifying. Here's a goal. 3 England players against 2 centre-backs. It's too much to handle. And here's another one here. 3 England players involved in the box, close to the striker, scoring goals. And it's only possible because the defensive high line was so high at the start of the move. These are the tactical decisions that Thomas Tuchel has already taken. Of course, England won't be able to dominate every single football match, particularly as you progress through the tournament. You would assume that the teams are going to get harder. So if England want to win the World Cup, which is quite ambitious, they're going to have to beat some good teams. You might have to beat a France or a Brazil or a Spain or a Portugal along the way. Even Croatia in the group carry a lot of threat themselves. So do Ghana. Panama, they're all good football teams. If not, they wouldn't be at the World Cup. So they will have moments where they will take the ball away from England. This is perhaps where we're a little bit more concerned, because I don't have full faith in that backline. I don't think it's amazing. It's pretty decent, but I don't think it's anything special. But it doesn't necessarily have to be. This could be where England become very dangerous. A very dangerous side. Because when the opposition start to feel a little bit confident, they start to push players forward, they start to overload England's defence, they push loads of players forward. If England win the ball, there is the chance to break. And this is where there are some key players for this England side. That midfield three, once again. In previous tournaments, the midfield three has felt like a weakness, somewhere where we're not so sure. In this tournament, I think these three are going to be absolutely huge. If Tuchel wants to win the World Cup, you've got to get these three involved. On the ball, they're special. Every single one of them, special talents. But I tell you what, defensively, they really epitomise English football. They are those hard-working, hard-graft, workman-like central midfielders that will cover a lot of ground. There's a lot of athleticism in there. Teams will struggle to match England physically in the middle of the park. This will be quite overpowering for most teams, and that will give England a real advantage on the ball, but also defensively, sort of disrupting the opposition, winning the ball in these deep areas. And of course, that's where England can then go. Now, if we're talking about the biggest opponents, I wouldn't be surprised if Gordon comes in for Rashford, just for that extra bit of defensive work rate. But even still, it's about winning the ball, and it's then carrying a threat. And England could be dangerous here, with Harry Kane dropping deep, drawing centre-backs with him, and then the runners going. Bukayo Saka on the right-hand side, Anthony Gordon on the left, with Kane dropping deep, Jude making that run past these guys. This is where England could become very, very threatening. And of course, this could, and maybe should, be Marcus Rashford from the left as well. As Kane comes towards the ball, he grabs the attention of a centre-back, and that is when you open up the space for that pass in there. That's the pass that England need to play. Elliot Anderson is probably the man for the job. Rice can do it, not quite as high level, but it might be Kane as well, dropping all the way deep and finding that ball forward. England in transition could be very, very dangerous. Now, to be honest, my initial plan was actually to wrap the video up there. We are going to do more of these videos on some of the other top sides this summer, you know, France, Brazil, etc. And those videos will be a little bit shorter than this one. I'm really enjoying talking about this one, so I'm going to continue. With one of my concerns, I've already highlighted the back four as something that could be a little bit weak. My other concern is the spread of goals. England have got some great players. Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka. There's goals there. Morgan Rogers on the bench. Eberici Eze from the bench. There's goals there in this England team. But is there? You know, during qualifying, it was very much Harry Kane that we were dependent on. Eze did pop up with a good amount himself, and then it was Declan Rice. Beyond that, everyone had one. England had got to find a way to score more goals. In tournaments, we've seen teams that really sort of stifle Harry Kane. They get numbers around him, they drop deep, so his deep-lying playmaker work isn't as effective, and they really crowd Kane out. When that happens, other players have got to step up. England need to find more ways to score goals. It's why I would go for Saka and Rashford on the wing, because I think they have more game-breaking quality, but I think it's time for Jude Bellingham to really step up in this department. In qualifying, he was largely injured, so we couldn't help this. At the last Euros, Jude was fantastic. He was a player which really took responsibility with some big, big goals for England in that campaign. We need more of that. There's been doubts about him over the past 2 years, and I just don't buy them. This is one of the best players on the planet. Do him and Harry Kane have the absolute perfect understanding? Perhaps not, but they are two world-class footballers. Kane does have a natural tendency to drop deep, and Jude loves a run off the shoulder. I would try and get these two working together as much as possible. And then the other area where I think England can be dangerous is set pieces. Now, it's a shame not to have Harry Maguire for this, but if we look at some of the tall players in there, Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham will be threatening. Marcus Rashford isn't small. Our centre-backs will get up from the back, and I think O'Reilly might be a little bit of a weapon on set pieces. He's absolutely massive. And then you got Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka taking the set pieces. Two very good track records playing for a great Arsenal team that have scored a lot of goals from set pieces. This is why I think England can be dangerous. As I've pointed out throughout the video, there are also flaws as well. This isn't a perfect England team. The last two games before the tournament weren't perfect against Japan and Uruguay. A little bit of a struggle last summer against Senegal. We saw a poor England performance. Qualifying though, it was flawless. This is a strong England team. This is an England team that will go into the tournament as one of the favourites because we've got a collection of some of the best players in the world. experienced goalkeeper, good back four, very, very good midfield, worth a lot of money, and forwards that have been there and done it and have won big trophies now and scored a lot of goals in the process. And you add Harry Kane into that as well, who I feel is one of the very best players on the planet right now, certainly one of the most dangerous. England will have a chance. It will be difficult. The groups themselves will be difficult to navigate. The knockouts are very difficult. It's a long tournament. England, if they want to win it, will play a lot of games in a short amount of time as well because of starting the group stages so late. The heat will be tough. England will not have an easy tournament this summer. But with Thomas Tuchel, who is an excellent tactician, who will find a very good balance in his side, as we've seen in today's video, he will have a good team. And he will get this team to play good football. It will be balanced. We won't have the same problems that we had under Gareth Southgate. There will be runners in the team. There will be dribblers. There'll be ball carriers. There'll be passers. There'll be goal scorers. There will be a little bit of everything. It will be a cohesive team that works very, very hard. If not, they simply won't play. So do England have a chance this summer? Absolutely. Are they favourites? Probably not, but I am confident. I will always have belief in any England team, especially this one. To me, it looks like a very good squad. It's going to be a difficult summer for every single team, so why can't England capitalise on that? Why can't England be the team with so many good players, with a great tactician? England can win this summer. Will they? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are you a little bit like me, who is more than happy to get stupidly excited every 2 years, and you think England are going to win it every single time? If so, let me know in the comments. Or are you a little bit more uncertain? Let me know your thoughts and your predictions. And also, whilst you're here, if you could please subscribe to the channel, that would be greatly appreciated, because we will be covering every single England game this summer. So make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, we are now finished. So thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.